Sure. Here's a unique first segment for your horror story titled Dark Web Secrets CIA Reports on Alien Conspiracies that will blow your mind. This segment is designed to be engaging and sets the tone for the rest of the story. Segment 1: The Introduction. In the dim light of his cramped apartment, Alex sat hunched over his laptop, the glow of the screen illuminating his weary face. He had always been fascinated by conspiracy theories, those tantalizing whispers of hidden truths lurking just beneath the surface of reality. But tonight he was diving deeper than ever before. The dark web beckoned him, a shadowy realm filled with secrets that could change everything he thought he knew about the world. As he navigated through the labyrinthine links of the dark web, Alex felt a thrill of excitement mixed with trepidation. He had heard stories, horrific tales of people who had ventured too far into this digital underworld, only to disappear without a trace. But curiosity outweighed caution. He was determined to uncover something extraordinary. Hours passed as he scrolled through forums and chat rooms, each click revealing a new layer of bizarre information. Then he stumbled upon a thread titled CIA Reports on Alien Conspiracies. His heart raced as he clicked on it, drawn in by the promise of forbidden knowledge. The thread was filled with cryptic messages and links to encrypted files. Users claimed these documents contained evidence of extraterrestrial encounters and government cover-ups that spanned decades. Alex's fingers trembled as he downloaded one of the files, a PDF labeled Project Orion Unclassified Reports. He opened it cautiously, his eyes widening at the sight of official-looking headers and redacted sections. The first few pages detailed bizarre incidents, unexplained sightings, military encounters with unidentified flying objects, and testimonies from supposed whistleblowers. Each account was more chilling than the last. One entry caught his attention, a report from a former CIA operative who described a covert operation in the 1980s involving alien technology. According to the document, agents had recovered an alien spacecraft from a remote desert location and were conducting experiments on its occupants. The operative claimed that these beings were not just visitors but had been monitoring humanity for centuries. As Alex read on, he felt an unsettling chill creep up his spine. The report detailed how these extraterrestrial beings communicated through telepathy, manipulating human thoughts and emotions. It suggested that certain individuals, those deemed sensitive, were particularly susceptible to their influence. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a conspiracy theory. It felt like a warning. Suddenly, his screen flickered and a message popped up in a chat window on the forum. "You shouldn't be here." His heart raced as he stared at the ominous text. Was someone watching him? He quickly closed the document but felt an inexplicable sense of dread settle over him. Ignoring his instincts to log off, Alex delved deeper into the thread. Other users shared their own experiences, stories of strange encounters and unsettling dreams that seemed to connect back to alien influences. One user described waking up in a cold sweat after dreaming about being taken aboard a spacecraft, where they were subjected to bizarre experiments. Another claimed they had found strange markings on their skin after an unexplained blackout. The more Alex read, the more paranoid he became. He glanced around his apartment as if expecting to see someone lurking in the shadows. The air felt thick with tension. Every creak of his old building echoed like a warning bell in his ears. Just then, an alert flashed on his screen. New message received. It was from an anonymous user who went by the handle Watcher_42. The message read simply, "You've seen too much." His heart pounded in his chest as panic surged through him. Who was this person? How did they know what he was reading? He hesitated for a moment before typing back, "What do you mean?" The response came almost instantly, "They're coming for you." Alex's breath caught in his throat as reality crashed down around him. This wasn't just an online game anymore. It felt like he had crossed some invisible line into danger. He could feel it in his bones, the sensation that someone or something was watching him closely. With trembling hands, Alex closed his laptop and leaned back in his chair, trying to catch his breath. But even as he attempted to calm himself, he couldn't shake off the feeling that this was only the beginning. The secrets of the dark web were unraveling before him, and there was no turning back now. As he sat there in silence, contemplating what to do next, a faint noise broke through the stillness, a soft tapping sound coming from his window. He turned slowly, dread pooling in his stomach as he peered into the darkness outside. Was it just the wind, or something far more sinister? The tapping grew louder, more insistent, echoing like a heartbeat in the night. Alex's mind raced with possibilities. Could it be someone trying to warn him? Or perhaps something else entirely? He could feel every instinct screaming at him to run, but where would he go? Just then, another message popped up on his screen. You can't hide from them. And that's when Alex realized the true horror wasn't just what lay hidden in those reports, but what might be lurking right outside his window. This segment sets up an intriguing premise while building suspense and establishing a sense of danger that can carry through to subsequent parts of your story. Let me know if you need further help or additional segments. Segment 2, The Discovery. The tapping at the window intensified, each sound reverberating like a drumbeat in Alex's chest. He felt paralyzed, caught between the urge to investigate and the instinct to flee. The ominous messages flashing on his screen only heightened his anxiety. You can't hide from them. Who was them? What had he stumbled upon? Summoning every ounce of courage, Alex rose from his chair and approached the window. He peered through the thin curtain, heart racing as he scanned the darkness outside. The street was empty, illuminated only by the flickering streetlight at the corner. Shadows danced across the pavement, but nothing seemed out of place. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. With a deep breath, he pulled back the curtain and opened the window slightly. A gust of cold air rushed in, sending a shiver down his spine. "Hello," he called out, his voice trembling slightly. Silence answered him, thick and suffocating. Just as he was about to close the window, he heard it again, a soft whisper carried by the wind. "Help me." The voice was faint but unmistakable. Alex's heart raced as he leaned further out, straining to catch a glimpse of its source. "Who's there?" he shouted into the night, but there was no reply. The tapping had stopped, replaced by an eerie stillness that enveloped him like a shroud. He hesitated for a moment longer before closing the window and retreating back to his desk. Sitting down, he felt a surge of determination mixed with fear. He couldn't let this go. He had to understand what was happening. He opened his laptop again and returned to the thread about CIA reports on alien conspiracies. As he scrolled through the comments, one post caught his eye. A user named TruthSeeker88 claimed to have first-hand knowledge of Project Orion. Intrigued, Alex clicked on TruthSeeker88's profile and found a series of posts detailing strange occurrences in their life since they had come into contact with classified information about extraterrestrial beings. They described vivid dreams of being taken aboard a spacecraft, where they encountered beings that communicated through images rather than words. The user wrote about how these experiences left them feeling disoriented and paranoid, convinced that they were being monitored by unseen forces. "They know who you are," one post read ominously. "And they will come for you if you dig too deep." Alex felt a chill run down his spine as he absorbed this information. It mirrored his own growing sense of dread. Was he now a target? The thought sent waves of panic coursing through him. Determined not to succumb to fear, Alex decided to reach out to TruthSeeker88 directly. He typed a message, "I need your help. I think I'm in danger after finding these reports." He hesitated before hitting send, unsure if this would lead him to safety or deeper into peril. While waiting for a response, Alex decided to do some research on Project Orion itself. He opened another tab and began searching for any publicly available information related to alien conspiracies and government projects. To his surprise, he found an article that discussed various alleged government cover-ups involving UFO sightings and encounters with extraterrestrial beings. The article mentioned several key incidents like the Roswell crash in 1947 and the Phoenix Lights in 1997, each accompanied by testimonies from witnesses who claimed they had seen strange crafts in the sky or encountered beings that defied explanation. It also referenced classified documents that had been leaked over the years, hinting at ongoing experiments with alien technology. As he read through these accounts, Alex felt an unsettling connection between them and what he had discovered on the dark web. Could it be possible that these incidents were part of something much larger? Something that involved not just government agencies, but also shadowy figures operating in secrecy? Suddenly, an alert chimed from his laptop. TruthSeeker88 had replied, "Get out now. They're coming for you." Panic surged through Alex as he read those words. He quickly typed back, "What do you mean? Who's coming?" But before he could hit send, his phone buzzed with an incoming call from an unknown number. Against his better judgment, Alex answered it. "Hello," his voice wavered slightly. Alex, a low voice replied on the other end, sending chills down his spine. "You need to listen carefully. "Who is this?" he demanded. "It doesn't matter who I am," the voice said urgently. "What matters is that you're in grave danger. You've uncovered something you shouldn't have." "What do you mean?" Alex pressed, heart racing. "The CIA isn't just monitoring alien activity, they're involved in it," the voice continued cryptically. "And now they know you're aware of their secrets." Alex's mind raced as he tried to process this revelation. What should I do? "Get rid of your computer," the voice instructed sharply. "Burn it if you have to. They can track you through it." Before Alex could respond, there was a click on the line, followed by silence. The call had ended abruptly. His heart pounded violently in his chest as dread washed over him like a tidal wave. Should he really destroy everything? What if this was all just paranoia? But deep down, he knew there was no going back now. Too many strange things were happening around him. He quickly grabbed his laptop and carried it to the kitchen, where he kept a small metal trash bin. As he prepared to dispose of it, another noise broke through. The soft tapping at his window returned once more. This time it was accompanied by a low hum that seemed to vibrate through the air around him, a sound that sent shivers down his spine, as if it resonated with something primal within him. Alex froze mid-motion as fear gripped him tightly once more. He glanced toward the window. Shadows flickered just beyond its glass surface like dark silhouettes waiting patiently for him. He couldn't ignore it any longer. Whatever was out there wanted him to look, and deep down inside him stirred an insatiable curiosity mingled with terror. Taking one last breath for courage, Alex approached the window again and pulled back the curtain slowly. This segment builds suspense while introducing new elements of danger and mystery surrounding Alex's situation. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with further segments or make any adjustments. Segment 3: Escalation of Threats. As Alex cautiously pulled back the curtain, his heart raced with a mix of dread and curiosity. The night outside was darker than before, the shadows stretching ominously across the street. He peered into the inky blackness, searching for the source of that unsettling tapping sound. The air felt charged, as if it were alive with anticipation. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall silhouette standing just beyond the reach of the streetlight. Alex squinted, trying to make out any details, but the figure remained cloaked in darkness. It didn't move, it simply stood there watching him. "Who are you?" Alex called out, his voice trembling slightly. The figure didn't respond, but took a step closer, revealing a glint of something metallic in its hand, a device that flickered with an eerie blue light. Panic surged through Alex as he instinctively stepped back from the window. His mind raced with possibilities. Was this a government agent? An alien? Or perhaps someone sent to intimidate him into silence? He felt trapped, caught between his desire to understand what was happening and an overwhelming urge to flee. Just then, his phone buzzed again. Another message from Truth Seeker 88 popped up on his screen. "They're here. Get out now." Without thinking, Alex turned and dashed toward the front door. He could hear the faint hum growing louder outside, a sound that seemed to resonate deep within him. As he reached for the doorknob, he glanced back at the window one last time. The figure was gone. Heart pounding, he flung open the door and stepped into the cool night air. The street was eerily quiet, but he could feel an undercurrent of tension, as if something was lurking just beyond his sight. He glanced around, looking for any sign of movement, but saw nothing. "Where do I go?" he whispered to himself, feeling lost and vulnerable. He had no plan, no idea where to run or who to trust. His mind raced back to Truth Seeker 88's warnings about being monitored and hunted. He needed information, he needed allies. In a moment of desperation, Alex decided to head to a nearby coffee shop that operated 24 hours. It was a popular spot for night owls and students alike, a place where he could blend in and think without drawing attention to himself. He hurried down the street, keeping his eyes peeled for anything unusual. As he walked, shadows danced along the sidewalk under the dim streetlights. Every rustle of leaves or distant sound made him jumpy. He couldn't shake off the feeling that someone or something was following him. He quickened his pace, adrenaline surging through his veins. When he finally reached the coffee shop, Alex pushed through the door and was greeted by the warm glow of fluorescent lights and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. A few patrons were scattered around, some engrossed in their laptops, while others chatted quietly at tables. He slid into a booth at the back corner and took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. Pulling out his phone, he opened Truthseeker88's profile again and typed furiously, "I'm a coffee shop name. I need help." As he waited for a response, he scanned the room for anyone who might look suspicious or out of place. That's when he noticed a man sitting alone at a table near the entrance, a tall figure wearing dark sunglasses despite it being nighttime. The man's gaze seemed fixed on Alex, an unsettling intensity in his eyes. Feeling exposed under that scrutiny, Alex ducked his head and focused on his phone. Moments later, another message from Truthseeker88 appeared. "I can't meet you there, it's too dangerous. Look for someone who can help. Dot." Who? Alex typed back desperately. But before he'd hit send, he felt a presence looming over him. Startled, he looked up to see a woman standing beside his table, a striking figure with long dark hair and piercing green eyes that seemed to see right through him. "You're looking for answers," she said softly but firmly. Alex blinked in surprise. "Who are you?" "I'm someone who knows what you've uncovered," she replied cryptically as she slid into the booth across from him without waiting for an invitation. "My name is Mara." "How do you know about me?" Alex asked suspiciously. "I've been following your thread on the dark web," she admitted. "You're not safe here, they're already onto you." Alex's stomach twisted with fear as he glanced back at the man in sunglasses. He was still watching them intently. "Who are they?" "The CIA has been monitoring anyone who gets too close to Project Orion," Mara explained urgently. "You've seen things you shouldn't have, things that could expose their secrets." "What do you mean?" Alex pressed her for details. Mara leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "There are factions within our government that are involved in extraterrestrial research experiments involving human subjects and alien technology." She paused for effect before continuing. "And they will do anything to protect those secrets." Alex felt a chill wash over him as her words sank in. "But why me? I'm just an ordinary guy." "Ordinary people stumble upon extraordinary truths all the time," Mara replied with intensity. "You're sensitive, you've tapped into something beyond your understanding." Before Alex could respond, he noticed movement out of the corner of his eye. The man in sunglasses was rising from his seat and heading toward them with purpose. "Listen," Mara said urgently as she grabbed Alex's arm. "We need to leave now." Without waiting for confirmation, she stood up and pulled him toward the exit. They stepped outside just as the man reached their table. Alex could feel his heart pounding in his chest as they hurried down the street. "What now?" Alex asked breathlessly as they rounded a corner away from prying eyes. "We need to find somewhere safe," Mara replied quickly as they ducked into an alleyway between two buildings. "I have a contact who can help us." As they crouched behind a dumpster, Alex's mind raced with questions, but one stood out above all. What had he gotten himself into? The alley was dimly lit by flickering lights overhead, casting eerie shadows around them as they waited in silence for what felt like an eternity. The hum from earlier returned faintly in the distance, a reminder that whatever forces were at play were still lurking nearby. Finally, Mara broke the silence. "We can't stay here long, we need to move." She pulled out her phone and began typing furiously before glancing back at him with urgency in her eyes. "Who are we waiting for?" Alex asked again. "A friend," she replied cryptically before adding more softly, "someone who knows how to navigate this world." Just then they heard footsteps approaching, the sound echoing ominously down the alleyway toward them. Panic surged through Alex as they exchanged worried glances. This wasn't just paranoia anymore. It felt real and imminent. "Stay quiet," Mara whispered urgently as she pressed against the wall beside him. The footsteps grew louder until they stopped just outside their hiding spot. A shadow loomed over them, a figure dressed in dark clothing scanning their surroundings with keen eyes. Alex held his breath as dread filled every corner of his mind. This was at the moment everything changed forever. This segment heightens tension while introducing new characters and complications into Alex's journey as he navigates this dangerous world of conspiracies and threats. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with further segments or make any adjustments. Segment 4, The Revelation. The shadow loomed closer, and Alex felt his heart racing in his chest. He pressed himself against the cold brick wall, trying to make himself as small as possible. The footsteps stopped just a few feet away, and for a moment silence enveloped the alley. He could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears, drowning out everything else. "Please," he whispered to Mara, "tell me you have a plan." Her eyes were wide, scanning the darkness beyond their hiding spot. "Just stay quiet," she urged, her voice barely above a whisper. "We need to wait for the right moment." The figure remained still, and Alex could feel the tension in the air thickening. He stole a glance around the edge of the dumpster, trying to catch a glimpse of whoever was out there. The man in sunglasses stood there, scanning the alley with an intensity that sent chills down Alex's spine. Suddenly, the man turned slightly, revealing a small earpiece tucked into his ear. "I know you're here," he said, his voice low but clear. "You can't hide from me." Alex's breath caught in his throat. How did he know? Had they been followed? Panic surged through him as he glanced at Mara, who was now crouched low beside him, her expression tense but focused. Now she hissed suddenly. Without waiting for another second, they bolted down the alley in the opposite direction from where the man stood. The sound of their hurried footsteps echoed off the walls as they sprinted toward the street ahead. Adrenaline coursed through Alex's veins. He could hear the man shouting behind them but didn't dare look back. They burst onto a busy street filled with late-night revelers and cars whizzing by. Alex felt a rush of relief at being surrounded by people, at least for now. They were hidden in plain sight. Mara grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a nearby bar that had its neon lights flickering vibrantly. "Inside," she urged as they ducked through the door. The bar was dimly lit and filled with chatter and laughter. A band played softly in one corner while patrons lounged at tables scattered throughout the room. Alex took a moment to catch his breath as they slipped into a booth at the back. "What now?" he panted, looking around nervously. Mara leaned closer, her voice urgent. "We need to contact my friend. He can help us get out of here safely." She pulled out her phone again and began typing furiously. "Do you think he saw us?" Alex asked, glancing over his shoulder at the entrance. "I don't know," she replied tersely. "But we can't take any chances." Just then, her phone buzzed with a response. She read it quickly before looking back at Alex with a mix of relief and urgency. "He's on his way. We just need to wait a few minutes." As they sat in tense silence, Alex couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. The atmosphere of the bar felt charged with an undercurrent of danger, a sensation that prickled at the back of his neck. "Who is this friend?" Alex asked quietly. "What do you know about him?" Mara hesitated for a moment before answering. "His name is Leo. He used to work with me on some sensitive projects." She glanced around cautiously before continuing. "He knows how to navigate these situations better than anyone else I know." "What kind of projects?" Alex pressed, trying to understand more about her connection to this world. "Research involving extraterrestrial technology," she replied cryptically. "We were part of a small group that studied potential threats, both foreign and domestic." Alex's mind raced as he processed her words. "So you've seen this stuff firsthand? You know what's really going on?" Mara nodded slowly. "I've seen things that would make your skin crawl, experiments that defy explanation." Her eyes darkened as she spoke. "And I've learned that once you're involved in this world, it's nearly impossible to escape." Before Alex could respond, Mara's phone buzzed again. She glanced down at it, and her expression shifted from urgency to alarm. "He's here," she said quickly as she slid her phone into her pocket. They both leaned forward slightly as Mara scanned the room for Leo. Just then, a figure appeared at their table, a man in his late 30s with tousled hair and an easy smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey," he said casually, but with an undertone of seriousness that belied his demeanor. "I got your message." "Mara," she said quickly, introducing herself as Leo slid into the booth opposite them. "This is Alex. We're in trouble." Leo nodded knowingly as he glanced around before leaning closer. "I heard about what happened at your place. Very bad news." His gaze locked onto Alex's with intensity. "You've seen something you shouldn't have." Alex swallowed hard but nodded slowly. "I found some reports about Project Orion, about alien encounters and government cover-ups." Leo's expression darkened further as he leaned back slightly. "That's exactly what I was afraid of." "What do you mean?" Alex asked urgently. "There are forces at play here that will stop at nothing to protect their secrets," Leo explained gravely. "You've unwittingly put yourself on their radar, and they won't hesitate to eliminate anyone who threatens their agenda." Mara interjected sharply, "We need to get out of here before they find us again." Leo nodded in agreement, but hesitated for just a moment longer before continuing, "I have a safe house not far from here. It's secure." He looked directly at Alex again. "But we need to move quickly." Without waiting for another word, Leo stood up and gestured for them to follow him. They slipped out of the booth and made their way toward the back exit of the bar, keeping their heads down and trying to blend in with other patrons who were unaware of the danger lurking just outside. As they stepped into the cool night air again, Alex felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with fear coursing through him once more. They hurried down an alleyway adjacent to the bar where Leo led them deeper into darkness. "Stay close," he instructed firmly as they navigated through narrow passages between buildings until they reached an unmarked door tucked away from view. Leo knocked twice before opening it slightly and peering inside cautiously before stepping through and gesturing for them to follow. Inside was a small room filled with various pieces of equipment, computers humming softly along with monitors displaying streams of data, and an array of maps pinned haphazardly on one wall covered in notes and markings. "This is my workspace," Leo explained quickly as he closed the door behind them securely. "We'll be safe here for now." Alex looked around in awe mixed with apprehension. It felt like stepping into another world entirely, one filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. "What do we do next?" he asked eagerly yet nervously. "We regroup," Leo replied decisively as he began typing on one of the computers while glancing over at Mara, who was watching him intently. "I'll pull up everything I have on Project Orion," he continued without looking up from his screen. "We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with if we want any chance of getting out alive." As Leo worked furiously at his computer, Alex exchanged glances with Mara, both feeling an unspoken bond forming between them forged by shared fear and uncertainty about what lay ahead. But deep down inside him stirred something else, a flicker of determination ignited by curiosity about truths hidden beneath layers upon layers of deception, waiting patiently for someone brave enough to uncover them. This segment heightens tension while introducing new elements regarding Leo's character and setting up future developments in Alex's journey as he navigates this dangerous world filled with conspiracies and threats. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with further segments or make any adjustments. Segment 5: The Revelation. As the hum of computers filled the small room, Alex felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Leo was tapping away at the keyboard, pulling up files and documents related to Project Orion. The glow of the screens illuminated their faces, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. "Here it is," Leo said, finally turning to face them with a grave expression. He pulled up a document labeled Project Orion Classified Overview. The title alone sent a shiver down Alex's spine. "This is what we've been piecing together for years." Mara leaned in closer, her eyes scanning the text rapidly. "What does it say?" Leo began to read aloud, his voice steady but filled with urgency. Project Orion was initiated in the late 1970s following a series of unexplained aerial phenomena reported by military personnel across the United States. The objective was to investigate potential extraterrestrial technology and its implications for national security. As he spoke, Alex felt a sense of dread wash over him. This was more than just a conspiracy, it was a calculated effort by the government to hide something monumental. According to these reports, Leo continued, the government not only recovered alien technology but also made contact with extraterrestrial beings. They believed these beings possessed advanced knowledge that could be weaponized. Alex's mind raced as he processed this information. But why keep it secret? Why not share it with the public? "Because knowledge is power," Mara interjected sharply. "If people knew the truth about extraterrestrial life and what our government has been doing, it would cause mass panic and could destabilize society." Leo nodded in agreement. "And there are factions within the government that believe controlling this information is essential for maintaining order. Anyone who threatens that control becomes a target." "What about those who have gone missing?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Leo's expression darkened further. Many have been silenced, disappeared without a trace. Whistleblowers, journalists, even scientists who got too close to the truth. A chill ran down Alex's spine as he realized how precarious his situation truly was. He had stumbled into something far beyond his understanding, a web of lies that extended deep into the heart of power. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from outside, followed by shouts and footsteps approaching their hideout. Alex's heart raced as he exchanged panicked glances with Mara and Leo. "They found us," Leo exclaimed, scrambling to shut down his computer. "Quick, we need to hide," Mara urged, looking around frantically for a place to conceal themselves. Without hesitation, Leo led them toward a small closet at the back of the room filled with old equipment and boxes. They squeezed inside just as the door burst open. Alex held his breath as he pressed himself against Mara in the cramped space. The door swung wide, revealing two men in dark suits, one wearing sunglasses even in the dim light of the room. "Search everywhere," one of them commanded in a low voice. "They can't have gone far." Alex's heart pounded in his chest as he listened to their footsteps echoing throughout the room. He could feel Mara's breath quickening beside him. They were both acutely aware of how close they were to being discovered. The men began rifling through Leo's equipment, tossing aside papers and knocking over chairs in their search for answers. Alex closed his eyes tightly, willing himself to remain silent as fear coursed through him like ice water. "Check that closet," one of them shouted suddenly. Alex's stomach dropped as he felt Mara tense beside him. They had nowhere to go. If they opened that door now, they would be caught without any chance of escape. The sound of footsteps approached closer until they stopped right in front of their hiding spot. Alex could hear one man breathing heavily as he reached for the door handle. "Please," he thought desperately, "don't let them find us." Just then there was a loud crash from outside, a distraction that caused both men to turn abruptly toward the noise. They exchanged glances before one said urgently, "We need to check that out." With that, they hurried out of the room, leaving Alex and Mara breathless in their hiding spot. After what felt like an eternity, Alex finally opened his eyes and turned to Mara. "Are we safe?" "For now," she whispered back, her voice trembling slightly. Leo cautiously opened the closet door and peered out before stepping into the room again. "We need to move quickly," he urged them both. "They won't be gone for long." "What about your computer?" Alex asked urgently. "It doesn't matter," Leo replied grimly. "We need to get out before they regroup." They slipped out of the hideout and made their way toward another exit at the back of the building, a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. As they descended cautiously, Alex could hear muffled voices above them growing fainter, but still echoing ominously through his mind. When they reached the bottom of the stairs, they found themselves in an underground parking garage dimly lit by flickering fluorescent lights. A few cars were parked haphazardly around them. It felt like a maze waiting to be navigated under pressure. "Do you have a car?" Mara asked Leo urgently. "Yes," he replied quickly as he led them toward a black sedan parked at the far end of the garage. "But we need to be quick if they realize we're gone." Before he could finish his sentence, another loud crash echoed from above, followed by hurried footsteps racing down toward them. "Get in," Leo shouted as they reached his car. He fumbled with his keys while glancing nervously over his shoulder. They jumped into the back seat just as Leo started the engine and peeled out of the parking garage with tires screeching against asphalt. As they sped away from danger, relief washed over Alex momentarily, but it was short-lived as reality set back in again. They were still being hunted. "Where do we go now?" Alex asked breathlessly as they merged onto an empty street illuminated only by moonlight filtering through clouds overhead. "We need to find somewhere safe," Leo replied grimly while keeping his eyes fixed on the road ahead. "Somewhere we can regroup and figure out our next move." Mara leaned forward between their seats. Her expression was serious yet determined. "What about contacting someone else? Someone who can help us expose this?" Leo shook his head firmly but thoughtfully. "We can't trust anyone right now, not until we know who's really on our side." Alex felt a wave of frustration wash over him. Every moment spent running felt like an eternity wasted when all he wanted was answers, truths hidden beneath layers upon layers of deception, waiting patiently for someone brave enough to uncover them. As they drove deeper into unknown territory under cover of nightfall, each passing streetlight casting fleeting glimpses into darkness surrounding them, Alex couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling creeping back into focus. What if uncovering these secrets came at too high a cost? This segment builds tension while bringing together key elements from previous parts of your story and setting up potential future conflicts or revelations for Alex and his companions. If you'd like me to continue or make any adjustments or additions, just let me know.